Welcome back.
Yes.
It is WTF. Think WTF. I keep getting it wrong. Gotta get used to it. I'm not used to thinking.
No, he's not. As you saw from the last video, his mind's a squirrel. But anyway.
So I think in this one we're actually going to go into a little bit about the definition of trust. I mean, we've been talking about trust a lot. But how on earth, as a human being, do we establish better trust?
Absolutely.
And even more difficult, how do organizations do it? How do platforms do it? How do we rebuild it?
Absolutely.
It gets very difficult if we don't understand what we're trying to achieve with trust.
No, I quite agree, and I think it's a very important point because trust is a very ethereal concept and idea. It's not. There's a lot to be said for trust.
So we think there's 4 components, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've kind of broken it down into 4 pillars. The first pillar is really skin in the game. You know, remember in one of the earlier videos we spoke about the idea of going into the blacksmith in your local community and getting a new horse on your horseshoe when you lived in local communities. And the system worked because we trusted each other, and if the horseshoe fell off you would go and punch that because you knew exactly who to get to. But more importantly, the community would start getting irritated with the blacksmith if the products weren't actually of a certain standard and a value. And your reputation was intrinsically linked to your output of work, which it doesn't exist anymore. And when we moved from this idea of local communities to institutions, what actually happened was the skin in the game fell apart.
And why? Because in institutions you create organizations with teams, and then those teams sit in steercos, and you build these steercos because no one wants to take single accountability. It's about distributing that accountability over a group. So when you look at the trust and when things go wrong in institutions, there's no single person that takes accountability.
Absolutely.
And then everyone says it sits at the top with one poor individual who's overseeing a 20 million person business.
No, absolutely.
A customer business. Yeah.
But the problem with the person at the top is the customer that he's responsible to is not typically the person who's buying the product. It's a shareholder.
Yeah.
So he doesn't actually give a shit as long as the numbers are actually getting high.
Mike, that's quite scary.
That's very scary.
The modern shareholder, in the old days, when I say old days, when they started putting together corporations and being able to buy stock, the idea was for the customer to buy stock in your company.
Absolutely.
And if you were not being held accountable, they could ditch your stock and the value of your business would go down. That is not the customer anymore, right? It's an algorithm, or it's a bunch of other corporations buying massive shareholding. There's no customer owning a share anymore.
But here's the interesting thing, Brett, is if you just think about this example. We trust entrepreneurs more than we do people who work in institutions, the corporate executive. Think about it. We would trust Elon Musk, and we would be prepared to reward Elon Musk more for running Tesla than any other CEO of any of the major motor vehicles, because he has skin in the game.
He's put his own money in it.
He's accountable, and that's the key word.
When you've got your own skin in it, you've got to make it happen, right?
Absolutely.
And when there's no skin, when the businesses get too big,
it's a problem.
It's a problem, right?
No, absolutely. And as we said, the shareholder becomes the primary customer, who has no skin in the game either. They just want money. It's an extraction, and it's a massive, massive problem. But you know what? I think we need to talk about the next one in the next series.
So the next one, boom! Shall we share it with the guys?
Let's not be honest about it.
Liar.
Okay.
Until
the next video. Cheers.